Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and greetings again to everyone assembled. Nana Akasuwa, our Queen Mother, always great to see you. And Spring 89 in the house. Okay, let me get focused. So, our first
Yay.
question for today is cultural context and identity. How does being a part of the NPHC organization in West Africa differ from your experience or perception of chapters in the United States? So we'll take a few responses here just so we can move our conversation. So the first three to four, and then we'll continue with the questions to keep us on time. I see Brother Amu from Sigma Mu unmuting and our sister Sora Marcella. So those two will be the first two to answer this question.
All right. I can hey Marcel, I can either go first or I'll turn the floor over to you to go first if you want.
A good Sigma, go ahead.
Good Sigma man, but then a good strong woman. Go ahead. I see how we did that.
All right. Thank you, thank you, Madam Grant. So for us in Ghana, there's several. But I'll focus more on the social expectations. So unlike the U.S., excuse me, where we're known. However, in Ghana, there's this expectation where we have to contribute to the national development. And that's just not in just minor areas, but in larger contexts as well. So for us, most of our projects that we do, we focus, excuse me, we focus more on the development in specific communities. So for example, when we talk about the boreholes that we do, we sort of engage with the chiefs first. That's the first line of contact. And from there, we work specifically with those with the chiefs direct us to work with within those communities to execute our projects. And also, unlike the U.S., visibility in Ghana is also important. So we have to sort of mesh the culture and also explain what the fraternities and sororities are to local Ghanaians who may not have stepped outside of Ghana. So when they see our different colors, we have to make sure that we go into this explanation factor with them, because when they see us, they don't understand what the fraternities and sororities are. And there's also this cultural taboo that being a member of our organization is a witchcraft. So we have to dispel that a lot of times when we have contacts with those communities. So for instance, in our family, my family, there are only two fraternity members, and the two of us are on here, myself and brother Kwaba Samwa from Omega Psi Phi. So we have to continue that explanation, not just in Ghana, but also in the US to our family members as to why we decided to join the D9.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Eric, he really said a lot there because we do have to work really closely. I think that's maybe a little bit what's different than working in the US is that we do work closely with chiefs and like another sister said, queen mothers and representatives of the community that do not have the same concept of what NPHC is. Oftentimes they do have a concept of it having something to do with witchcraft or, ungodly, maybe I would say. So we do have to go in there and kind of explain what it is about. But because AKA has been in Liberia for over 60 years, thankfully our previous SORs were able to lay that ground and really establish what it is. And lucky again for us, our former president, of course, Madam Ellen John Sirleaf is an AK, so she was able to kind of give us that covering with too much of the negativity of it. But that would be one of the bigger differences as far as like how we actually work in the community. Oftentimes we go in the community and assess what they want and what their needs are. And then we work with them to say, okay, well, how can our administration during this tenure help with whatever it is that's going on? And I would also say, I know they do this in the US NPHC chapters, but partnerships. Liberia, West Africa in general is pretty low in I would just say abundance, right? We have it, but maybe not as much so financially yet. So there's a lot of ways that we have to work with the communities to partner with them to, get supplies. Oftentimes you'll have people who want to like send things, send items. Um, but what we ask often is to send monetary money as opposed to sending physical items. One, the physical items might not be something that is uh something that we're used to here. So I'll speak on our like ending period poverty program. So our menstrual kits, sometimes we have organizations in the US who want to just send us menstrual kits and pads and things like that, but that's not necessarily sustainable for our communities, may not know how to use it, or it may just not be the best thing for the environment, so on and so forth. So really working with like partners strategically to make sure that we're not just creating, we're creating sustainable programs that will really last a long time and not just for that particular time. So,
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go on, Vice Chair. I was about to go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to just as you summarize that, and because we're moving into the next question that Mr. Chairman will share, I think one of the main things to call out the cultural understanding around who we are as an organization, definitely more needed on continent, but realizing that even in the US, some people like my family thought that, I was joining a cult. So I think it's all in how we are able to articulate, but that monetary piece that you just shared can sometimes be more helpful as we have many chapter members who will be listening from the States, really being in touch with your leadership on the best way to support the service initiatives. But over to you, Mr. Chairman, for the next question.
I love it. So, what does meaningful service look like in your context? And how do you determine what the community needs the most? And so, I'll kick that question over to Iris, to Kwabena, and to Jabila.
Okay. So thank you, Brother Ray, for this question, because I've been thinking about it since we saw it as a list of things to discuss. And for Sigma Gamma Rho, I think that meaningful service is about presence. It's about partnership and purpose. In West Africa, we engage directly with communities to understand their needs, as many of the presidents have shared, but not through assumptions, but through listening and building relationships with institutions like schools, health institutes, like community leaders, to really identify and understand some of the gaps that we have. So from the topic that was just brought up in terms of sustainable goods, meaningful means that you're distributing reusable sanitary pads that Sigma Gamma Rho has been doing since we charted here, to advocating for educational equity and supporting local shelters. We focus on sustainable impact. So we just don't pick any project that we think is reproducible in the US. We look for projects that actually is going to make a greater impact within the communities that we serve. So we define meaningful service not by numbers, but by transformation and empowerment. And if our work increases, access to the dignity of our people, to the opportunity, and to just, bringing joy into people's faces, that is what we call meaningful.
I suppose I'm next. I will say that for us, Tau Alpha Lambda being a relatively young chapter, chartered in 2021, what we have done as we begin sort of like our service journey is really just listen to what institutions that we are seeking to partner with have directly asked for. So amongst, I'm glad to see that Brother Nana Kwekwendoom is on the call, our chapter vice president. He has made contact with local schools who have asked us for, hey, these are the supplies we need, from desk chairs to refrigerators. So that has put us in a position where we can both donate equipment to these schools that they're directly asking for. We have partnered with an international nonprofit called Basics, which is an educational nonprofit, to ask them specifically, what resources can we hand you that will help you do your work. We've given financial donations from the fraternity's general office, and they recently asked us. They said, we need a lot of books here, and at our last regional conference, the fraternity just so happened to have had donations of something like 5,000 books from different publishing companies. So we've taken hundreds of them and are planning to ship them back to Ghana for Basics to use in their teaching and to distribute locally. So again, it is just, as a young chapter, we've just kind of listened to exactly what are you asking us for and how can we help you. Now, going forward, I'll say that this past November, our chapter was honored to be able to host the first international district conference of Alpha Phi Alpha on the continent of Ghana, on the continent of Africa, in Accra. It was a very successful event, and since then, the sort of the traffic of noise of alphas wanting to come to Ghana and participate has really, really increased, and we're looking to bring a great deal of brothers to the continent over the years. And for me personally, as I said before, to me, our mission is development. And as these brothers come, in addition to giving them the cultural experience, seeing the slave castles, seeing Almina, all this kind of thing, I also want to put these brothers in a position where they can meet with local business leaders, local entrepreneurs, and perhaps build entrepreneurial and investment opportunities so that we are actually helping to stimulate the economy with young people who are doing the actual work to bring development to the country, both physical, structural development and capital investment, economic development, all those kind of things, and connect the diaspora so that brothers here in America can impact and it's not just alpha owned businesses or whatever in Ghana, but connect with anybody who's building anything that can help push the country forward. We can't just keep waiting for our governments to do this. We ourselves, as young leaders and young diasporans, we have the resources to help push. And I think that will be part of what I personally consider meaningful service and meaningful development for the country, or for the chapter, I should say.
I echo very similar sentiments as our fellow Greek presidents on this panel. And I feel as though for Delta Iota Zeta in Liberia, that our chartering members really laid that foundation in the country since 1948. And for us, meaningful service started with that strategic planning. How do we identify what the national priorities are and then aligning our organization's missions with those national priorities? And so that helped us develop our, what we call 5 programmatic pearls: women's economic empowerment, childhood nutrition, sexual and gender-based violence, young women and girls, and then our signature program being women's health. And having this approach has been helpful in helping us target our approach, because sometimes when you look at the need, it can seem so great, so vast, so overwhelming, but being able to focus on the areas where we can have the most impact helps us maximize the impact that we do make and helps to truly make a difference and makes it measurable and sustainable. And so for our signature program, which is through Women's Health, and through the support of the broader Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, we were able to help address cervical and breast cancer in the country, because we know in Liberia, 40% of women's cancers in Liberia are breast and cervical cancer, and there's limited resources for screening and treatment. And so throughout our initiative, we've been able to help over 700 women with screening and treatment and supporting ongoing psychosocial counseling, with nutrition baskets, just to have holistic healing. And we've been also able to do this with strategic partnerships, collaborating with others, collaborating with our NPHC sisters through this initiative for breast cancer awareness campaigns, and local organizations as well. So having that strategic plan to align nationally, I think it truly has allowed us to make a meaningful impact.
Thank you all for those very engaging opportunities to see the depth of work that we are accomplishing together. So now let's get to who does the work: membership and sustainability. So what are some of the challenges and opportunities